Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you. You get fairy dust. I get fairy dust. Little Amelie gets fairy dust. Always a dog in the background. Always, always. All right. I have a question for Ask an Advanced Bitch. Okay. This is another question that I got from the Social Cues, New York Times. But I wanted to answer it myself. And just for the record, he gives great answers. Mine are more psychologically minded, aka for C-PTSD kids, aka trauma survivors. It's just helpful to understand dynamics, and this is such a good one. Okay. My friend's mother, my friend's mother died recently. She left instructions that one of her sisters be barred from her memorial service. Is my friend obligated to honor her mother's wishes, even if it causes lasting problems with her aunt? Okay. This is what I think of her request. This is what I think of her request. Okay. So I wrote this grief book, The Irreverent Grief Guide. And I'm an expert on grief, but what makes me even better at being a grief expert, aka grief counselor, aka advanced bitch with grief knowledge, is that I also know about trauma and I know about family dynamics. And here's the thing about grief. So grief comes for us all. Grief comes for us all. There's no way out of being human and not experiencing grief, because we have relationships, we have people we love, and we lose them in different ways. But one truism about grief and about family dynamics is people die how they lived. People die how they lived. So one thing I can tell you about this lady who died is that this bitch be barring people from shit from birth to death. This bitch be barring people. She, you cross her, she's gonna bar you. Like, just so you know. It's so, once you understand dynamics and believe yourself, believe that you see this shit and that it's so fucking predictable. If I knew this woman in real life, I would have 100% predicted that she was going to bar someone from her funeral. Um, anyway, so, and I don't know if I tore up the question, so we can't refer back to it, but I don't know if it was this request was directed to one specific child, or if it was just in general, family, do not allow my sister to come to my funeral. Do not let this bitch up sister of mine grieve for me. How dare. I mean, it's just drama. It's just drama, and people can't help it. They're just going to do their drama. And if they did drama when they were alive, they're going to do drama when they died. So I had a friend who died, and he died of AIDS, and he was my best friend. I loved him dearly. But shit got real confusing. Shit got real confusing after he died. Like, mixed messages, and it was just weird. And then I had to realize, oh, right. I mean, I was in his inner circle, because we met in recovery. So our relationship was based in recovery. And so that involved a lot of honesty and vulnerability with each other. Um, but I always remember as like, you know, people, like weird relationships, people would come over to his house and it'd be like, how are they? Like, it just, but no, nothing was ever said. Nothing was ever said. And like, he asked me, because he knew he had AIDS and he knew he was going to die. Like, he asked me if there was something of his that I wanted. And of course, no, I don't need anything. And then he's like, no, I'd really like, is there something of mine that would make you remember me? And he had these two pieces of art. I mean, nothing like expensive or anything, but these two pieces of art. And I think one had rabbits on it or something. And I was like, those, like that's us, because there were two. And it just reminded me of us. Of course, that did not happen. Of course, I was like, and it's totally, totally fine. I completely understand, but I was like, there was some like, why is this person here and why? And I'm like, oh, that happened when he was alive too. Like it's hard to explain. But it's like, what's their relationship? And and so, yeah. This is one, I mean, I already knew this I already had known this fact, but it was one way that I got it verified in my life. Like, oh, how they lived is how they died. If you have some little bit of chaos and confusion, maybe some mixed messages while you're alive, that's probably going to happen. I mean, these are the people who don't leave will. These are the people who don't, you know what I mean? There was some chaos and confusion when they were alive too. And so you're left with whatever that dysfunction is after the person dies. And so anyway, okay, so let's answer the question. So no. Okay, what I was going to say is my hunch is that even if this announcement was made like to the family, or it was in the will, do not let my sister come to my funeral, that it was really directed at probably one kid, and that's probably the hero kid, the parentified child, the one to do the mother's bidding. And so, yeah. And the thing is, we don't get to control other adults' behavior. Now, if the daughter doesn't want this person at the funeral, she doesn't have to invite her. Like, she doesn't have to tell her when it is. She doesn't have to do it if she doesn't. But if she's doing it on behalf of the mother, that is a well-worn dynamic between them, that she has been doing her mother's bidding probably the entire time. Um, the other thing that you can know is that we got a triangle. And so like the dead mother, or when she was alive, she wrote this note, don't let her come to my funeral, and then to the daughter, and now to the aunt. And so you see, so this is a person who loves to create drama, confusion, chaos between two other family members. And so that's another, like, so it's a triangle. So for me, if I'm using my tools, it's like, first of all, I'm not, also other adults aren't in charge of me. So if there's something in the will that says do not, I mean, it's also like, instead of like, I'd prefer her not to come, it feels disrespectful. Like, I just prefer her not to come, but the people in my life would already know that. They would already have the history of the relationship. They would know that. And so, but that doesn't mean I'm asking anybody to do anything about it. And thinking back on it, maybe I wouldn't say I don't prefer her to be there, because now that is kind of passive aggressively asking people to make sure she's not there if you want to respect me, or if you really loved me, you would do this for me, which, it's like holding people hostage. And Jesus, your daughter is grieving for you, your kids are grieving for you, and now you're gonna, and not to say it wouldn't be a distraction from grief, but now you're gonna make them like, you may not pass, you may not come to my mother's funeral, you may not come to your own sister's funeral. Yeah, so again, so for me, how do I get out of it? Like, for one, if I'm the mother that is dying and I don't want somebody to come to my funeral, I might tell the person directly, hey, like, stay away. Or I would say, hey, family, let's not have a funeral. Let's have a secret ceremony with just the four of us, or I mean, I'll be dead, but just the three of you and a couple of friends. Like, that's an introvert's dream. Or, I might handle it some other way. I mean, I have a very clear communication, so this actually wouldn't be an issue. And then if I was the daughter, I'm sorry, adults don't get to tell other adults what to do. I'm not going to play a bodyguard and, like, I'm trying to be at my mom's funeral, I'm trying to grieve this bitch, so please don't make me be a fucking bouncer. Like, I'm not can I please cry and not have to, like, watch who's here and who's not here? Like, that's too much work, too much anxiety, too much drama, too much conflict. So if I'm the daughter, I'm not doing that. If the aunt wants to show up, she's gonna show up, and my mom is just gonna have to deal with it from heaven or hell, or wherever the fuck she is. You know, if you like, bitch, curse her, curse when she ghost her, like haunt her. If you don't want your sister at your funeral, then that's your business. You haunt her. You know, cause some kind of chaos in her life so she doesn't show up after you're dead. Like, I'm not doing that for you. Yeah, and just in general, I don't tell other adults what to do. I'm not going to tell another adult to do what to do or not. Um, and then finally, um, and I might have a conversation or not with the aunt, depending on our relationship. Like if the aunt, if I'm friends with the aunt and the aunt and I are in complete agreement that my mother, your sister, is a narcissist, and that she said this in her will, and I am so sorry that she doesn't, you know, like, I'm so sorry about this. You know what I mean? Like, if we had that honest kind of relationship, if this is a safe aunt or whatever, like, I might talk about it, or I might not. Again, I'm grieving, I don't have the energy. Like, we have no energy during this time, so I'm probably not gonna do that. Um, but yeah, we don't need an extra job, and it's just like, ugh, just more. And so once again, it's like this is a person who's been barring people from things all along. You're banished, you're banished, you're banished. And I just, thought it was interesting. And the thing that I want to pass on is that you can know that. And I never not hear it. Anytime I've had a grief counselor and there have been issues with the will, and the executor of the will, or the stuff, and like you can tell that the dad or the mom or the grandfather or the grandmother is still pulling the strings from the grave because they set it up. Th I mean, they're the ones who created the will, so they set it up to be chaotic, confusing, doublespeak, that it's nothing new to these kids, but what it creates, because the person is now dead, infighting between them. Not that that wasn't true all along, but it's yeah, and it's never good. It's really, really unfortunate, but it's just the way that it is. If you're a narcissist, I mean, we hear people leaving people out of their wills all the time, out of spite, out of, just like, it's not a surprise when they do that. So, um, anyway, so I hope that's helpful. So the tool is like, people die how they live. And so for me, the magic is not being hooked by the drama that is occurring after the death. For me, it's about, oh, I know what this is. This is the same thing that happened when this person was alive. So I hope that's helpful. Love you. Bye.